wild. I did sit down and read a couple of comic books. As much as I want to talk about my Pokemon Go woes for this past week, I did read some comic books. I read Swan Songs #5. This is by W. Maxwell Prince with art by Alex Ekman-Lawn. The title of this issue is The End of Anhedonia, which is a word that I had to look up on the internet because I'd never heard of it before. But from Wikipedia, I learned from the plagiarism video that you can't just pull stuff. You have to at least cite it. So I'm citing Wikipedia. Anhedonia is a diverse array of deficits in hedonic function, including reduced motivation or ability to experience pleasure. And I think the way that this issue in particular approaches this specific topic is the main character, who we really never get a name for. I think we do, but it's not important. He just doesn't feel like anything's interesting. He like starts on page 1 like nothing's interesting anymore. I do these things that I know that I enjoy, and they're just not interesting to me. They don't give me any kind of excitement. I don't know if anybody else out there can relate to that, but I certainly can. So it was a very interesting issue to read, because at the end I was thinking from the start that by the end I would be even more depressed, because W. Maxwell Prince does one thing very well that I can always count on, which is tell an extremely depressing story. And that's not like he's out to get me or make people's hearts break all the time, but 9 times out of 10, when I'm picking up an issue of something that has W. Maxwell Prince on it, I'm going to feel a little bit worse off than when I started. But that's why we read these types of things. The surprising part about this issue is that I found that it did have a positive ending. And I like that the book has this double negative in its title, the end of anhedonia. If hedonia is this idea of experiencing pleasure, anhedonia isn't. So the fact that this book takes on this idea of this man experiencing this extreme depression of some kind, specifically around just feeling numb about everything all the time, and goes into his psyche to try to analyze what that is through hypnotherapy, which is a bonkers idea, but the book kind of just rolls with it. And of course, getting Alex Ekman-Lawn on this book, who I'd never heard of before, was maybe the best choice that this series could have made. I don't know if W. Maxwell Prince is out there handpicking artists for these anthology books that he's doing, but holy shit, I don't think anybody could have done better. And I love all of the other artists that he's worked with. He's worked with some crazy artists that have done very wild work. Like Martin Simmons, for instance, was on the first issue of this series. Great. I think Martin Simmons would have been garbage in this issue, because Ekman-Lawn nails this really bizarre dreamscape thing which is a mix of multiple art styles, but also collage, but a skeuomorphism on photography, and so many things that I really can't explain it to you. I mean, I have the book in front of me. We're live on Twitch. If you're not watching this on Twitch, I don't know what you're doing with your time, but I can show you we've got pages that are just traditional comic book art, right? And there's this really interesting thing that he does with outlines of art on top of art, right? The background isn't really the same kind of art as the foreground. And he also does, but then he does these other things where this character Albert, that's his name, this is a massive collage of multiple layers of art put together in magazine clippings. And I don't know if Ekman-Lawn drew this themselves or what, but this book just does stuff that you can really only ever do in comics.
Yeah.
And I freaking love this so much. I'm so glad that I have a physical copy of this book, because it's beautiful to look at. I'm very mad that my local comic book shop gave me the variant cover. I really wanted the original cover. If you see that one, which is holes inside of a man's head, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of those things that I see and I go, oh, I should get that as a tattoo on my body. It's so fucking cool. It's a beautiful issue overall. I think you could go pick this up on its own, have a really good time. This series is a wonderful anthology, so you don't need to have read anything else, except for the next issue is an Ice Cream Man tie-in, because of course it is, because that's how W. Maxwell Prince operates, and I'm so fucking excited. But yeah, this issue is incredible. I feel like this is the perfect artist for this dreamscape story, as this person is slowly but surely driving into the root of what they believe is their actual source of frustration and anhedonia. And W. Maxwell Prince knocks it out of the park. It's a beautiful issue from start to finish.
Yeah, I've also really been enjoying this series, and funny you mentioned the cover, because I actually picked up the cover where you see Albert and his inner child in the front of the cover, because that was the part of the book that I clung onto the most, and they made me I was like, I want this one. The first one's very jarring. It's beautiful, but it's also very jarring.
I love it.
And yeah, I just this anthology has been so much fun. Like each
Hmm.
issue, I think my favorite issue was the last one, the end of a sentence. But this one was also very good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll probably reread everything once we get the last one. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, this is probably my favorite work from the W Prince. Even though I love Ice Cream Man and I love Haha and like pretty much Art Brut, like dude doesn't miss. He doesn't. He
Yeah.
just doesn't miss. So
Tying it into the Ice Cream Man cinematic universe.
I mean, the fact that I didn't even know that Haha #6 was gonna be an Ice Cream Man tie-in, and I was like, okay, yeah, there is a greater universe at play here, and Nick and I can't stop but trying to machinate on it every time there's a new volume out. So, yeah. Anyways, this series is fantastic. In particular, though, this is maybe the best issue of the series so far. Probably one of the best things I've read from W. Maxwell Prince, and I really love all of his other stuff. So, highly recommend Swan Songs #5 if you can get your hands on it.